Everyone, and welcome to The Secret Art of Business. And today I have Dennis and Denise Blankemeyer from Crowworks. And I am really excited to hear what your story is and about Crowworks in general, because I just was looking at your website, digging through that, and it sounds like a fantastic company. So tell us about Crowworks.
Well, thanks, Catherine, for having us. I'll speak a little bit first about the founding. And I was working as an architect and just was getting a little bit bored with it. And it just seemed like I was a little bit more of a CAD jockey than actually an architect. So Denise and I decided to take the leap and started a little 1,200 square foot store in Grandview. And we did that for quite a long time and was trying to figure out how we could sell furnishings. And it was just a mom and pop shop. So we didn't have a lot of scale on anything. And it was really difficult. And I think the biggest thing, the takeaway at that time was we were kind of slugging through it and we just could not create value for the customer. I mean, we tried and tried and tried, but we just could not. The pieces that we have are expensive. We were buying from somebody else. We just could not make the numbers work. And it was a very kind of low time in our lives, honestly, because we just couldn't find a way out to do something that provided that value proposition for the customer. So, and then really in 07, 08, we had to move the store to Polaris, and we just happened to start doing a little bit of work with Pink, Limited Brands, and Abercrombie. And then they started kind of asking if we could start to make things, and we didn't know how to do it. So we just said, yes, we could make it.
Of course, so, that's the right answer.
Yes, you say yes till you actually figure it out. So that was kind of the thing that just being able to work with the companies. And I'll finish and let Denise talk a little bit, but that one day Limited Brands asked us if we could make 30 shoe racks, which was kind of a vintage piece. And we said, of course, we said yes. And I just looked at Denise, how much effort would you and I have to put in to selling 30 of anything to a residential customer?
Right.
And it was really easy at that time. That day, it was like, okay, we're going to go strictly commercial, get out of the residential, get out of the retail, and go strictly commercial furniture, which we did.
Yeah, we're fortunate that we can work well together. I don't know that many husband and wife teams that do that, but we've always been able to kind of bounce ideas off of each other and just kind of run with it. And I think we're both high risk takers. So that's another piece of where it's easy to say yes. And then you kind of step back and say, okay, we said yes. Now let's figure out how. So that's the kind of the creative excitement piece about what we can do is you see the excitement from a customer or guest, whether it's in the retail world or the restaurant world. And you can see when they say yes to something that you want to give them this amazing experience behind it. Right. So I think that's kind of what has always driven us, even when we had the retail days, when we couldn't sell a lot quickly from a value standpoint and from a scalability standpoint. But there was nothing better than having a customer come in and buy a sofa or a chair or even a candle and just have them walk out feeling really proud about that product that they just bought. So I think that kind of keeps us going and energizes us today.
Yeah, and I have seen and sat upon many of the items that you have because they are in a lot of different restaurants that I think a lot of people frequent. And I will say this is, there are a lot of, places that have furniture, but yours is definitely distinctive. It definitely makes you feel special when you sit on them, which may sound crazy, but you are delivering, I think, still that same feeling, but now just kind of more mass produced. And what part of that are you still very much involved in the design of it? What do you each do in your roles?
That's interesting. It's more of a founder type level. We are actually, we have a product development meeting this afternoon, so we're still pretty involved in the design and kind of the quality and how things are made. I think what's changed now is that clients are driving the design. And before, when we were starting, it was Denise and I driving the design. So we have to be a little more receptive to what their needs are, because we're dealing with billion-dollar businesses with They have a whole design staff. And when we first started out in this journey, we didn't have to deal with that at all. It was just something, a lot of it is just hit and miss that we think, oh, this would work in the marketplace. But now the clients are really driving that kind of aesthetic thing, which is fine. And yeah, I just feel like no matter when we started, we wanted a world-class client experience, period. That's what we wanted. And I always admired Abercrombie for the fact that they didn't really advertise. They just did it on brand. And so we've always, and even to this day, been really involved in the look, feel of the brand, if it's marketing material or if it's even internal. You know, how does our team members feel when they're in this space, and what can we do to make their lives a little easier? So it's a little, I think, a pretty holistic view of trying to make the world a better place and make people feel good in their environments, no matter if it's in the plant here or in Johnstown offices or somebody sitting on a chair in a quick service restaurant.
That's really, really cool. And you had talked about a little bit about your journey was a little bit of some twists and turns and things like that. As owners of this company, what would you say would be the one business moment that gave you the biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge? Oof. With Hollister?
I don't know why my head went here, but when we got to a point with the retail store, it was something that we still loved. And we knew that no matter what, we were going to continue to be passionate and go in that direction of the world of furniture. But when it got to be points where it was just like low is low, going, why are we still here? Why are we not closing our doors? And literally swiping our own credit cards to be able to pay our, employees to make payroll. Those are some dark moments, but it was still those moments where I think working together comes into play. If I was down, Dennis would pick me up. And if he was down, I would pick him up and say, okay, we're going to do this. And Dennis's father was one of our biggest cheerleaders and said, just keep the doors open, just keep the doors open. And that was always kind of our mantra in the back of our mind to say, no matter how tough it gets, we're keeping the doors open. And thankfully, we kind of kept to that. And now we are where we are.
I love that you brought that up. I think it's a really powerful statement, because I think a lot of people think, oh, well, running a business is easy, especially once you tasted success, what could go possibly wrong? And it is a constant learning experience, creative problem solving. And you just decided, it's not going to close, and we're just going to figure this out. And I think that's a very powerful message for people. But with that said, who would you consider your ideal client?
Ooh, I'd say somebody who values design and quality. Sustainability has been a big kind of a big selling point for us, because our supply chain is we don't import anything from overseas. Our supply chain within all the contiguous states of Ohio, so Michigan, Kentucky, Indiana, Pennsylvania. So very small carbon footprint. And I think I never thought I'd say this, Catherine. I never thought. I mean, I've said it for 25 years. I've banged on the drum about, globalization and making things in America and that sort of thing. And it's resonating now with these billion-dollar companies. Finally, I think it took COVID when their supply chain got wiped out, and
yes.
Your container costs go from $5,000 to $30,000 or $25,000. They just was like, okay, we are very fragile here from kind of owning our own thing. And one of our biggest customers is Wendy's and Starbucks, and they can go anywhere in the world, but they choose us because they do feel like they're getting value. They feel like they're getting the sustainability and the fact that kind of lower lead times, because we do everything in the Midwest here.
And I think that's a fantastic formula to have, especially in a furniture making company, that you have all of those touch points. And it seems like you have a fair amount of clients that also believe that same philosophy.
We definitely love to bring clients here to our manufacturing plant, because I don't think we've ever had a client here that once they walk through to meet our people and to see what we do, that haven't become an official client where we're supplying furniture to them. So it's all about relationship building and just finding win-wins, what works for them. It goes kind of back to the value. If it works for us, it works for them. If it works for them, it works for us. Just working with them on designs and development of just the relationship. And I think that's honestly how we've gotten several of our clients is if they're jumping ship from one company, they're going to another company, they're circling back with us and saying, you guys did a great job with us back in this company. Can you help us now? So that's been a huge benefit too.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the retail days. They tend to stay in the same industry, but just jump from, they get pulled away and that sort of thing.
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, you guys move around and then I can get into your company, and start selling my stuff there, which is in a way, kind of fun. And you also get great referrals because I worked with you in the past and I know your story and your quality and things like that. And it just makes the sale a lot easier. So that's a great tip for people as well that are running a business. Now, this has obviously been going great since day one. And so you decided then you wanted to try something that's called a Ghostwriter public house. Let's talk a little bit about that. How did that idea come about, and what made you decide to do something so completely different?
Well, I think if you ask Dennis and I separate, in separate rooms, this question, we definitely have different answers. But we both love to go out and experience a great meal. And just, we love to travel and just kind of find different places that just kind of speak to our aesthetic and design. And Ghostwriter was an opportunity. We have clients that always kind of wanted to see a showroom. It's kind of our marketing showroom when we do bring ProWorks clients in. So all the furniture at Ghostwriter is produced and made through ProWorks. But there's a piece about just kind of giving back to the community and giving back to our team members. Ghostwriter's in Johnstown, Ohio, which doesn't have a whole lot of restaurant options there. So knowing that we were bringing 25 to 30 ProWorks team members, giving them a place to go after work for happy hour, to bring clients in, to kind of bring their families in. It was a place, kind of a showcase for them to kind of own themselves. It's a branch of ProWorks, so it's just a great opportunity to give back to the community and our team members, and make great food, and again have people sit in our chairs and sit at our tables and share life together.
That's really good, Denise. But you know how the reason I said
this is his story.
I said we did it because we're not very smart.
We definitely got a lot of people from the industry saying, why don't open a restaurant? Definitely don't open a restaurant. And we just happened to open in November of 2019, which was even better for,
wow.
the world that we were living.
But we're still around, and I think we're very proud of just the culture there too. And, the aesthetic, and Catherine, I feel like it's the ultimate design problem, right? Because it's not just a painting. It's not just interior design. It's not just the food. It's the hospitality. It's the music. It's a very complicated design problem. And when it's on, there's nothing better than watching that hum.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And just like retail, what you were talking about before, it is about creating an experience, but just on a different, I guess, floor plan. Now it's a building with this sort of feel to it, and it's really not that different from what you've created with furniture and the experience of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, we have a friend that I think gave us the ultimate compliment, and he said that you guys create spaces that people don't want to leave, and I thought that was that was the nicest thing anybody ever said to us, I think.
That is really nice. And especially since I see all the people hanging out in Panera, they clearly cannot get off of your furniture. Now I'm going to have to ask you both, what did you do as kids that was fun and innovative and creative that was not work related? What is the thing that you used to do before you had to basically get a job?
When I read that question, my mind went back to my childhood. And I think it was literally maybe a day or two after we watched the movie Barbie.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely lived in the Barbie world. I had a sister that was a little older than me and a brother that was a little younger than me. And I think back on my childhood of taking stacks of books that we had and opening them up and building houses and rooms with our Barbies in them. And you open a book and you have two walls instantly.
Right.
So to kind of create little fun spaces like that, I don't know, always love to rearrange furniture, and thinking back on that world of even creating small spaces. You talked about like building forts. I mean, that was a constant in our household, just building forts, whether it was indoor or outdoor, just making fun little spaces and bringing neighbors together and loving life.
That's really cool. And how about for you, Dennis?
I think it's interesting that comment before work life. I think that Denise and I both started very early, like 12 or 13 when we started working in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
But we grew up in a very small town of 1,000 people, rural area. So there wasn't a lot to do, but, to do the riding bikes, get outside, kind of thing. Don't come back until the sun sets or dinner's ready kind of thing. But for me personally, I just remember I had an enormous bin of Legos, and not kind of the Legos that we have today where you make something. These are just building block type Legos that they did in the 70s. And I just remember spending hours and making spaceships and planes and houses and that sort of thing. And I never got tired of it. I played with it all the time. So that was kind of a formative moment. And we had a big box of wood blocks. It's just leftover material from when my dad and mom built the house. And I just played with that and Army Men for days and days.
Well, it's not too difficult of a stretch to kind of draw a line between what you guys did and what you're doing now, because it is definitely a passion of yours, and it always kind of has been when you think about it. Just like you said, creating rooms and experiences and, lifestyles, if you will, all the way up to just building. And it makes perfect sense that you are where you are right now and just still doing that and still feeding that passion, which is really kind of cool. What are you doing now, though, that also still ignites a lot of that? I mean, do you still build things? Well, I guess you're doing that. Like, you are doing that now. So what are you doing? What are you doing beyond that is fun and innovative and relaxing? I mean, just lets you unplug from work for a while.
Oh, you take the unplug and I'll take the other one.
We do a lot, but we have a lot of fun doing it. We have some of our good friends. One of their sons says, well, what are the Blankemeyers up to now? They're always doing a project. So it seems like every time, we turn around, we're working on something and building something for sure, whether it's our home or, restaurant or patio or something. It's been fun, but I was thinking about yesterday, we have more freedom now because we have an amazing team. So being able to take an afternoon walk with our new grandson yesterday, in the woods, and just being inspired by space and the surroundings of the woods and the trees. It was just pretty special. We have an amazing life.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think from what's next, we're working on a large format entertainment type venue that we're going to launch here in the next couple of years. I can't spend a lot of time on it because it's not fully fleshed out, but we've been working on it for 5 years. And we kind of put it on, I would say maybe a pause, not stop during COVID, because a lot of the, how people interact with the restaurants or how their lives are going to is kind of changing based on what COVID did to the industry and how you pay to, a little bit more time outside, even if it's a little colder. People are they could put up with it because they've been cooped up for so long. So we're working on a large, and this is the one, Catherine, I mean, Ghostwriter was not really meant to scale, but this is the one that we think that could scale and could really resonate. And it's very much a place that we want for community and interpersonal interactions where, as you know, the drive-in now with the dining rooms getting smaller. I just think there's a really yearning for people to get together and have fun together. So that's what we're kind of concentrating on.
Well, that's really exciting. So you're just continuing to build and create and make things, and just the Legos just got bigger, and the books just got bigger. I haven't been giddy about a project in a while, and this one makes me giddy because I can see how it could resonate through people. All right. Well, Denise, it makes Dennis giddy, but how do you feel about it?
Great question.
It's been a lot of emotions, ups and downs, because there's part of me where I'm a little tired of building.
Back to the walk in the woods with the grandkids. I just want to do this
Exactly.
now.
So it's definitely the balance between it. But when I see the excitement that he has, and after hours he's in his office and he's working through some projects and some problems, I know it makes him happy. So ultimately, I'm right there next to him to support it. But I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, he said, "Okay, I'm on number 42 iteration of this design." So I start to, lose interest a little bit, but then I gain it back when I see the excitement come back.
Yeah,
so
let me know when you get there.
Yeah.
Let me know when you get there, then I'll get excited again.
Yeah, this one's a grind. There's a lot of components to it. It's very much a grind because it's not something that's in the marketplace right now. So there's lots of question marks and those details to work through, and the details are not hundreds but thousands of details to make it sing.
But you got to get them right, and I think that's what's so fun is we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Of what do you think about this, or what do you think about that, or how should this look, or how should that feel? And when you walk down that path, and you kind of work through it together, you can get to the end and say, that feels really good.
I love it. I love it. The innovation is definitely still alive, still burning, as is the entrepreneurship, which is fantastic. Now, you two have known each other for a long time. Have you always been like this, where you're always, big thinking, dreaming, wanting to build stuff together? I heard that you were like
high school sweethearts.
High school sweethearts? You guys high school sweethearts?
Yeah, but we went to the same grade too of 52. And she has a very similar last name. So I sat behind her every other year.
We have known each other since kindergarten.
Yes.
But I think about one of my first jobs was at a carryout that also had a little restaurant in it. And Dennis was working for a manufacturing firm down the road, and he would come in after work and I would make him dinner. And I don't know, I want to say maybe 15 at the time, 15, 16.
Oh my goodness.
So thinking back, it's like those little seeds started to drop into our lives back then. But yeah, and it's still going strong.
35 awesome. Years next week.
I am so happy that you guys found each other, because you are very like-minded, and you're very like-minded, and you are doing just such amazing things. Your company is fantastic. Like I said, I think your work is beautiful. And I love that you have created a business that is basically kind of like self-run now, that you get to do other things and kind of keep those creative juices flowing and keep building and making things and doing fun things. But Dennis, you were talking about like reinventing and making another business, but did we talk about what you like to do just for fun? Do you ever unplug, or you just, Denise said she likes the walks in the woods, and you can feel free to expand on that too. But what do you do when you're not working? Are you ever not working?
Never not working. I get to think a lot, and so I don't have any hobbies, but I just love to bike and walk. And again, we make it a point to, we have some free time. Our kids, we're empty nesters, so we go out to dinner quite a bit to just try to find new things. We did it on Sunday. We said, hey, we're just going to go to some breweries that we'd never gone to before to see how the footprint is, see how the layout is, see how they serve people, see what the culture is. So we do a lot of that. Did I do anything else?
We do travel quite a bit. We're taking a vacation, not a vacation, but a trip for our anniversary. And my mom asked me, she said, "Are you sure it's a trip for fun, or are you working?" I'm like, question, you're right. You caught us. The first couple of days will definitely work, but it's fun work. So
yeah,
enjoyment. But
it's fun, but with a little bit of a little motive behind it. It's research. It's all research.
It's research.
Catherine, we've never not done this. We've been in business since '95, so we never turn it off, because we don't have that chance where we're not together. We're always together. You know what I mean? In the evenings, in the mornings, it's not your typical marriage. You go off and you come back, and how was your day? And we really don't have those conversations, because
your day was my day.
I'm witnessing it.
Yeah. I had to ask that question though, because I had somebody ask me that question. It's like, when are you not working? And I'm like, but I like it. I mean, does that count if it's fun and that I find it interesting and I'm learning something and all of that? So I had to ask you the same thing because I was seeing a lot of my own pattern going on with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to cook, and we host quite a bit, so that's always fun for us too. And
See,
that's
there we go. You do fun things.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah. We have a good life. I wouldn't trade it for anybody's.
Awesome. Awesome. And I like, again, I think what you're doing is absolutely wonderful. I love that you are making the world just a little bit nicer and more comfortable and in a variety of ways. And the ideas are not stopping. I appreciate you so much for being on this podcast too. And I would like to, if anything, kind of check back with you guys and see how this next new project is going too, because it sounds fun and cool and probably something that everybody would be interested in.
We're hoping spring of 2025, but there's a lot of work to do.
Okay. All right. Well, we will watch the news on that one. Thank you guys so much for doing this. I love talking with you. You guys are just a real powerhouse in your industry, and it's been my honor to have you on today.
Oh, thank you, Catherine.
Thanks
so much for having us.
Thank you.